Evelyn stood by the corner of the ballroom holding a small glass of soda. She was a final-year design student, sharp and focused, but tonight she felt out of place. Her classmates laughed loudly, took photos, and showed off their clothes. Some of them whispered about her. "Why is she always so quiet?" one girl said. "She acts like she is better than us," another added. Evelyn heard them. She smiled a little, but her heart felt heavy. She wasn't proud. She was just tired. Tired from studying, tired from working small jobs, tired from pretending she did not care. In another wing of the same hotel, a charity auction was going on. Rich people filled the hall, men in fine suits, women in shining gowns, expensive watches, calm faces, quiet power. Among them was Henry, young, handsome, and respected. People knew he was a billionaire, even though he did not like loud attention. Evelyn felt alone in the noise of her own party. She stepped out to breathe and began to wander through the hotel corridors. The air outside the hall was cool and steady. She walked slowly, watching the lights on the ceiling and the soft carpet under her shoes. She did not know where she was going. She just wanted peace. At that same time, in the charity hall, a careless plan took shape. A man who envied another guest asked a colleague to teach him a lesson. The colleague slipped an aphrodisiac into a drink and left it on a tray. But the tray moved. The glasses changed hands. And by mistake, Henry picked up the wrong glass. He took a few sips and tried to focus on the auction numbers, but his head grew light. His chest felt warm. His steps became weak. He excused himself quietly and left the hall, trying to find fresh air. Evelyn turned a corner and almost bumped into him. "Sorry," she said, catching his arm. He looked at her with tired eyes. I don't feel well." His voice was gentle but unsteady. Evelyn saw that he was sweating and a little dizzy. "Let me help you," she said. She guided him down the corridor. She asked a staff member for a room to rest, just for a moment. The staff, seeing Henry's condition and trusting Evelyn's calm face, opened a small guest room for them. Inside, Evelyn helped Henry sit on the edge of the bed. She poured water, placed it in his hand, and told him to breathe slowly. "It will pass," she said softly. "Just rest." Henry looked at her, confused and grateful. The room was quiet. The light was warm. He reached for her hand without thinking. His mind was foggy. His heart was beating fast. "You're kind," he whispered. Evelyn tried to pull her hand back, unsure. "Please, just rest." He moved closer, still dizzy, and hugged her like someone holding on to safety. She froze, then gently tried to guide him back. "Please," she said again, her voice shaking. "Sit." He misread her fear as shyness. He leaned in and kissed her. Evelyn's eyes widened. She had never done this before. Everything inside her said to run, but something about him, his warmth, his soft, "I'm sorry," his need, made her pause. She felt her heart open and close at the same time. She felt seen. She felt wanted. She felt afraid. "Wait," she whispered. He pulled back, breathing hard. "I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening to me. Thank you for helping me." His apology was real. His eyes were honest. She looked at him for a brief second, her chest rising and falling. Then she made a small, brave choice. She leaned forward and kissed him back, slowly, gently, like touching something fragile. One kiss became another. The space between them disappeared. Words faded. They held each other like two lonely people who had finally found something that had been missing. Morning light touched the curtains of the hotel room. Henry opened his eyes slowly. For a moment he felt warm and calm, like a man waking from a sweet dream. Then he reached for the soft shape beside him and found only a cold sheet. "Hello?" he said, voice low. Silence. He sat up. The pillow still carried her scent, clean, soft, a little like oranges. On the bedside table, his gaze stopped on a small silver watch. The strap was worn. The glass had a tiny scratch near the edge. He picked it up carefully. She must have left in a hurry. No note, no name, just the watch. A strange ache rose in his chest. He remembered the night like a whisper, her shy hands, his clumsy need, the way she trembled, the way she breathed his name that he never gave. "Who are you?" he asked the quiet room. He checked the hallway. Empty. He asked the front desk if any guest had left a note for Henry. None. He searched his memory for details, her voice, the shape of her smile, but there was nothing he could use to find her. She was gone. He slipped the watch into his pocket like a promise and stood at the window for a long time, staring at the city below, feeling both grateful and lost. Neither of them knew the other's real name. She had left too ashamed to face him, her first time with a stranger, a man she did not even know. 5 years later, Evelyn woke before her alarm. The room was small but warm. 2 little bodies slept beside her, Sean and Nina, her twins, her joy, her reason. She watched them for a moment, smiling at their peaceful faces. Then she got up quietly, tied her scarf and started the morning. Tea, bread, small eggs. School bags checked twice. "Mommy, my medal?" Sean asked, eyes bright. "In your front pocket," she said, tapping it. Nina held out a comb. "2 puffs, please." 2 perfect puffs, Evelyn promised. They ate together at the table. Sean talked fast about a class reading. Nina showed a drawing of 4 people holding hands. Mommy, Sean, Nina, and a tall shape with no face. "Who is that?" Evelyn asked softly. Nina shrugged. "Just someone holding our hands." Evelyn kissed her forehead and folded the drawing into her bag. They walked to the bus stop, laughing at a silly song Sean made up. When the school bus came, the twins hugged her tight before climbing in. Evelyn waved until the bus turned the corner, then pressed a hand to her chest and breathed out. Work waited. Cole Enterprises was busy, bright, and loud. Evelyn's ID flashed green at the gate. She stepped onto the design floor and slid into a small seat near the end. Computer on, files open, head down. She worked carefully, cleaning lines in a plan, fixing a rushed 3D model 1 wall at a time. She had learned to be invisible and excellent at the same time. A message from her fiancé, Michael, blinked on her phone. "Michael, don't be late this evening. My uncle wants to see us about the wedding." Evelyn, "I finish by 6. I'll pick the kids and meet you." Michael, "I said don't bring them. We'll talk like adults." Evelyn stared at the screen. Her jaw tightened. Evelyn, "Sean and Nina are part of my life." The 3 dots came and went. Then, "Michael, you know my stand." She locked her phone and swallowed the heavy feeling. She had chosen this path, she told herself. Michael was stable. Michael had connections. Michael said he could give them a bigger place. He just didn't want the children in his space. She pushed the thought away and kept working. No one at the office knew her story. No one knew about the night at the hotel. No one knew the twins came from a stranger she had met once and never saw again. She carried that truth alone, hidden under early mornings and late nights. By noon, she had finished a beautiful set of corrections. Kemi from printing stopped by and slid a warm smile across the desk. "You work so hard, Evie." "Thank you," Evelyn said, simple and soft. She ate lunch at her seat, small jollof in a plastic bowl, then checked the time. If she left right at 6, she could grab the twins and still reach Michael by 7, if he allowed the children. Her phone buzzed again. "Michael, remember, no kids." Evelyn put the phone face down. She looked at the corner of her bag where Nina's drawing peeked out. 4 people, hands linked. She sighed, then opened a fresh page and began to sketch. Curved paths, a small garden inside a housing block, a quiet bench beside shallow water. She didn't know why this idea kept returning. Maybe it was a picture of the peace she wanted. Across the city, in a quiet office high above the streets, Henry stood by a window and turned a small silver watch in his palm. The scratch by the edge was still there. He had cleaned it, but it refused to tick. The time on its face was stuck, like a memory that would not move. 5 years had passed. He had looked in the wrong places, asked the wrong questions, and held his silence. But the feeling never left, the sense that somewhere, the woman from that night was living a whole life without him, and he owed her more than a forgotten morning. He closed his hand around the watch. "I'll find you," he whispered. Back at her desk, Evelyn pressed her pencil harder and finished the path that led to the water. Then she drew 2 small children beside it, their hands touching the calm surface, their faces lifted to light. She paused, blinked away sudden tears, and gave the children in the drawing a mother standing just behind them, steady, present, and brave. The next morning felt light and fast. People moved through the design floor with a kind of shine in their eyes. Laughter carried from desk to desk. New perfume hung in the air. Heels clicked. Messages flew. "Have you heard? They said the CEO is back. Henry Cole himself. He's richer now. More handsome, too. Ah, I will wear my red dress the day he visits our floor." Evelyn kept her eyes on her screen. Line by line, she cleaned a plan. She checked dimensions twice. She did not join the whispers. Kemi leaned over, smiling. "Evie, everyone is so busy today. All their young ladies are on high alert, ready to impress the CEO." Evelyn smiled a little. "Let them enjoy. Are you not curious?" "I'm thinking about school fees and new shoes," Evelyn said, gentle and true. "Curiosity can wait." Kemi's smile softened. "You're a good mother." Evelyn typed a note on the drawing and saved her file. In her bag, Nina's picture, 4 figures holding hands, rustled softly. Across the open office, a small group of ladies argued playfully about lipstick shades. Classic red. Nude gloss, quiet but deadly. Forget lip, I'll bring ideas. Men love smart women. Evelyn took a sip of water and looked away. She had no space in her mind for a man she didn't know. Her day was full already. Work, the twins, dinner, a quick wash, bedtime stories, and maybe, if she didn't fall asleep on the chair, a few lines in her sketchbook. Her phone buzzed. School. Reminder. Reading day on Friday, parents welcome. Evelyn's face warmed. She typed, "I'll be there," and set a tiny heart beside it. Her fingers hovered, then dropped. She put the phone away and breathed out slowly. On the top floor in a quiet corner office, Henry stood with his aide, Austin. The city lay below them, wide and endless. "Any luck?" Henry asked. Austin shook his head. "We checked the hotel again. That charity auction from 5 years ago, the guest records are incomplete. Some data was lost when they changed systems. And CCTV? Overwritten." Henry pressed his thumb against the old silver watch and stared at the tiny scratch near the glass. "She left this by mistake," he said softly. "It felt like she left her name with me. But the name won't speak." Austin waited. Henry's voice dropped. "Sometimes I think maybe she forgot me. Maybe it was nothing to her. Or maybe," Austin said, careful, "she is like you, unable to forget, but unable to return." Henry's mouth tilted, not quite a smile. "Either way, I owe her thanks, and more than thanks." He closed his hand around the watch. "Open submissions for the flagship project. It must be fair. New voices." "It's ready," Austin said. "We announce tomorrow." Henry nodded, then looked again at the city. "She is out there," he whispered. "I will find her, or she will find me." By afternoon, the rumor had grown legs. "Mr. Cole is touring departments this week. He will pass through design soon. Someone said he likes bold people. We must be bold." Kemi tapped Evelyn's desk. "Let's freshen our face a little." Evelyn laughed. "If he comes, he comes. I'll just keep working." Kemi rolled her eyes. "You and this your calm life. Calm is the only thing I can control," Evelyn said, half joking, half true. She returned to her drawing, then opened a new file and started a quick concept of a courtyard. Trees, low water, narrow stones, a bench where a tired mother could rest while 2 children played. The form grew simple and honest. It looked like a place her heart understood. A shadow fell across her desk. A senior manager from HR smiled at the floor. "Good afternoon, team. Please remember, appearance matters. The CEO values excellence in work and in presentation." Evelyn nodded, but her eyes stayed on the screen. She gave the small bench a clean curve. Her phone buzzed again. "Michael, answer me. Are you coming alone or not?" Evelyn closed her eyes. She thought of the twins' faces at bedtime. She thought of a thick, silent room where people talk over you and call it help. She thought of a life where her children were always asked to make themselves small. She wrote, "Evelyn, I'll see you another day." She put the phone away before the reply arrived. The office thinned. People packed lipsticks and hopes into handbags. Some stood by the glass doors, pretending to check emails in case a certain car rolled up. Kemi waved goodbye and left with a wig box under her arm. Evelyn stayed until her file exported without errors. She sent the clean set to the project folder and shut down. As she walked out, she passed 2 women talking fast. They said he's not wearing a ring. They said he's the most eligible man in the city. Evelyn thought about rings, then about little hands that still reached for hers in the night. She walked to the bus stop with steady steps. At home, Sean and Nina ran to her. "Mommy, look, we made paper crowns." She put theirs on and let them put one on her too. They looked at each other and laughed at how fine and silly they looked. Dinner was simple and sweet. Across town, Henry opened the same kind of silence. He placed the old watch on his desk, beside a stack of files titled Flagship Riverside Gardens. He pressed 2 fingers to the watch face as if trying to warm it back to life. "Wherever you are," he said, "I haven't forgotten." He switched off the lights and left the office, carrying the watch in his pocket like a promise that refused to die. Morning came with a knot in 2 different hearts. Henry stood by his office window, the city spread like a map he could not read. He turned the small silver watch in his fingers again and again. 5 years, 1 night, 1 promise he never spoke aloud. "Austin," he said to his aide, "open the flagship submissions and clear my afternoon. I have a meeting at the Grand Hall later." Austin nodded. "All set. We will keep the process fair. And we will keep looking." Henry slipped the watch into his pocket. "Thank you." Across town, Evelyn stared at a pale pink dress hanging on the wall. The twins, Sean and Nina, played with paper rings on the bed. Her phone buzzed. "Michael, be at the hotel by 5. Make sure the children are not seen. I don't want them around the guests. This is an engagement, not a nursery." Evelyn sat down slowly. Her throat tightened. She had said yes to Michael because he promised stability. He promised a quiet life. He promised a roof and a bigger room for the twins. She thought a steady man could be a safe place. But calling her children baggage cut deep. It made her feel small and ashamed, and then angry at herself for even feeling shame. Nina touched her hand. "Mommy, do you like your dress?" Evelyn smiled for her daughter. "It's pretty." "Are you happy?" Sean asked. Evelyn swallowed. "I'm happy when I see you both." It was the truest thing she could say. She packed their small bag, wipes, snacks, a sweater for each, then folded the pink dress into a garment bag. "We will go together," she told them. "We stay together." The hotel event hall glowed with soft lights. Music floated. Guests smiled at cameras. Michael's friends stood in a tight circle, loud and sure. When Evelyn entered with the twins, Michael's face hardened. "What did I tell you?" he hissed, grabbing her elbow. "Take them away. Keep them out of sight. They will embarrass me." "They are not a mistake," Evelyn said, steady but shaking inside. "They are my children." Michael's smile turned thin. "Not mine." The words fell like a stone. People nearby turned. Whispers rose. A woman in silver laughed under her breath. Evelyn bent to the twins. "Please sit here for a moment," she said softly, pointing to 2 chairs by a pillar. "I'll be right back." Michael stepped closer, voice low and cold. "If you want this marriage, prove it tonight. Put them in a cab. Send them home. Do you hear me?" Evelyn's eyes filled. She blinked fast. "I will not hide my children." Michael straightened, lifted his chin, and spoke louder so others would hear. "Then you do not respect me. You came here with baggage and expect me to carry it." The room shifted. Some guests looked away. Some watched, hungry for more. Evelyn felt something break quietly inside her. Not rage, not drama, just a simple truth. She did not love him. She could not build a life on fear of being seen. She reached for Sean and Nina and took their hands. "We're leaving," she said, calm and clear. Michael snapped his fingers. 2 men in dark suits moved from the side. "Stop her," he said. Evelyn's breath caught. She began to run, holding the twins, weaving through tables, past tall flowers and heavy curtains. The men followed fast. Out in the corridor, her heels slipped. Sean gripped tighter. Nina whispered, "Mommy, I'm scared." "It's okay," Evelyn said, even though her heart was racing. I'm here. They burst through the glass doors toward the driveway, straight into a quiet line of black cars. A tall man was stepping out of one, adjusting his jacket. Henry Cole. He turned at the sound of running feet. In one look he saw the picture. A woman, 2 children, fear behind dignity, 2 men closing in. "Hey!" Henry's voice cut the air. "Security!" Uniformed guards turned at once. Henry nodded toward the men. "Remove them! Now!" The guards moved. The 2 men stopped, mouths hard, hands lifted in protest. "She is trying to—" Henry's eyes were cool. "This is a hotel, not a hunting ground. Step back." They stepped back. Evelyn stood very still. The twins pressed to her sides. Her chest rose and fell. She looked up to thank the stranger and froze. Something in his face, the line of his mouth, a familiar warmth she could not place. The world went quiet for a second, as if sound itself held its breath. Henry felt it too, a pull he could not name, familiar, like déjà vu with a heartbeat. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. "Yes," she said, but her voice shook. "Thank you." He looked at the children. "Do you need a car? A safe room inside? I can arrange." She shook her head. "We'll be fine. I just need to get them away from here." He nodded once. "Then go. I'll make sure no one follows." She started to move, then stopped and looked back. "Thank you," she said again, clearer this time. Their eyes met. The pull deepened, then slipped away as she led the twins toward the gate. Henry watched them go, a strange ache rising, like watching a door swing open to a room he knew, and then close before he could enter. Behind him, Michael walked out with 2 older relatives, face red with embarrassment and rage. "Where are my men?" he demanded. Henry turned, calm as a quiet sea. "Your men are done for tonight. Consider yourself warned." Michael's mouth opened and closed. He did not recognize Henry. He only saw a man others obeyed. He swallowed his anger and retreated. Austin stepped close. "Your meeting is upstairs, sir." Henry nodded but kept his eyes on the gate where the woman had disappeared. "In a minute," he said. He remained by the hotel doors until the driveway calmed. He should have gone to his meeting, but his mind stayed with the woman and the 2 small hands in hers. Austin returned from a short call. "Sir, the event manager said the man from the hall is called Michael, and he was furious. He's on his way to file a report. He plans to claim the woman kidnapped her own children." Henry's chest tightened. Kidnapped. They were clinging to her. They didn't look kidnapped to me. "Yes," Austin said, "but if he files first, it can create trouble for her." Henry looked toward the city lights, thinking fast. "Tell security to call me if she returns." Understood. 15 minutes later, the front desk called. The woman had come back. Someone had called her back. Henry reached the lobby just as she stepped in, breathing carefully, the twins tucked close, a staff member holding a folded shawl. Up close she looked steady and tired, like someone who had learned to be brave in quiet ways. Henry spoke gently. "I'm glad you're safe." She gave a small nod. "Thank you for earlier." The staff stepped away. Silence sat between them for a moment. Henry broke it first. "My name is Henry," he said. "Henry." She hesitated, then lifted her chin. "Evelyn." "Evelyn," he repeated, as if fitting the name to a memory he couldn't reach. He crouched to the twins' height. "And you two?" "I'm Sean," the boy said, wide-eyed. "I'm Nina," the girl whispered, then looked at him longer, as if she knew him from a story. Henry smiled softly. "Nice to meet you." He stood again and lowered his voice. "I was told the man from the hall is going to make a report. It could cause problems for you." Evelyn's hands tightened around the shawl. "He was my fiancé," she said. The word felt heavy. "But he wants nothing to do with my children. He calls them baggage. He told me to hide them. I refused." Henry's face changed. Shock, then quiet anger. "Children are not baggage." Her eyes watered and she looked away. "I know." Sean tugged her dress. "Mommy, are we going home?" "Yes, love," she said, stroking his hair. "We're going home." Henry took a breath. "Evelyn, may I help? Not to control you, just to protect you. If he files first, you might spend a night explaining what should never be a question." "I don't want trouble," she said softly. "I just want a safe life for them." "Then let me make a call," Henry said. We can speak to a legal officer here tonight. He can advise you. She studied his face, weighing the risk. Something in his eyes felt safe. She nodded once. They sat in a small private lounge near the lobby. Austin brought water and a calm, older company lawyer named Mr. Aid, who listened without judgment. Here is the issue, Mr. Aid said. If your fiancé files a false claim of kidnapping, the police may invite you for questioning. It can be stressful for the children. Evelyn's fingers laced together. What can I do? There are several options, Mr. Aid replied. One is a protective order. Another is immediate clarity of guardianship. The strongest shield given your situation tonight is this. If you and a trusted adult become a legal family unit, it's harder for anyone outside that unit to claim the children were taken. Evelyn blinked. You mean marriage? Mr. Aid nodded. A quick civil registry marriage can keep the children safe from a false claim, at least while you make longer-term plans. Evelyn looked at Henry, startled. He spoke before she could. Evelyn, he said quietly, I can stand in for that paper. No pressure, no demands, only protection for you and your children. We can dissolve it later if you choose, or we can take time and decide slowly. Right now, I only care that no one drags you into a night you don't deserve. She stared at him, breathing shallow. Why would you do that for us? Henry glanced at Sean and Nina. Because I don't like bullies. Because they held your hands like home. Because tonight I was there, and I can help. Sean edged closer to Henry's knee, curious and brave. Nina leaned around her mother and smiled at Henry like he was a lighthouse. Evelyn swallowed. I don't even know you. That is true, Henry said. So let me start properly. He offered his hand. My name is Henry. I work in projects. He felt odd hiding the full truth, but this was not the time to shift her world again. I have a good lawyer, a calm head, and no wish to control your life. Evelyn looked at his hand, then took it. I'm Evelyn. I'm an assistant designer. I'm doing my best. You're doing more than that, Henry said softly. Mr. Aid cleared his throat with a kind smile. The registry is open tonight. A simple signing, 2 witnesses. Austin and I can serve as witnesses, if you wish. No cameras, no crowd. Evelyn's eyes moved to her children. Sean was studying Henry's watch chain. Nina had tucked her small hand into Henry's coat without fear, like a child claiming a safe branch. It's your choice, Henry said. If you say no, I will still find another way to shield you. Evelyn closed her eyes for 2 breaths. When she opened them, they were wet but clear. We will sign, she said, just to protect them. Henry nodded, relief soft in his face. Thank you for trusting me. Michael burst into the far end of the lounge just then, 2 men trailing him, a hotel staff member trying to slow him down. There you are, Michael snapped at Evelyn. You think you can run? I've already called. Henry turned calm and firm. Sir, you will lower your voice. There are children here. Michael barked a humorless laugh. You again. Who are you to tell me anything? Someone who will not allow you to harass a mother and her children, Henry said. Security. 2 guards stepped in. The lounge stilled. Michael pointed at the twins. They are not mine. She's trying to force me to... Evelyn stood, her voice steady and clear. Michael, this is simple. Sean and Nina are my children. You have made it plain you don't want them. I will not hide them or leave them anywhere. We are leaving this arrangement. Michael blinked, thrown by her calm. You will regret this. Henry's eyes cooled. You will leave now. To the guards, he added, please escort these gentlemen off this floor. Michael stared at Henry, searching for power he could not see, then swallowed his pride and backed away. Sean let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Nina pressed closer to Henry's side. He knelt and met their eyes. Are you all right? He asked. Sean nodded. Are you a good person? Henry's mouth quivered into a real smile. I want to be. Nina whispered. You feel safe. Henry's throat tightened. Thank you. The registry office was quiet and clean. A clerk printed forms. Mr. Aid guided the process. Austin signed as witness, then Mr. Aid. Henry and Evelyn stood side by side, hands steady, words simple. No rings today, Mr. Aide said gently. Just signatures and a seal. Protection first, the rest can wait. When it was done, the clerk stamped the last page and slid the papers into a plain envelope. It is official, she said. You are legally married. Evelyn held the envelope to her chest for a moment. Sean and Nina crowded close to see the seal. Does this mean we go home together? Sean asked. Yes, Evelyn said. Her voice shook and then steadied. We go home together. Outside the building, under a quiet sky, Henry looked at Evelyn with respect and care. This paper covers tonight, he said. Tomorrow we can talk about what comes next, your work, the children's routine, any support you need. No rush. We will move at your pace. Evelyn nodded, tears bright in her eyes. Thank you. The twins reached for Henry at the same time. He laughed, surprised, and took both small hands. For a brief, bright second, they looked like a picture that had been waiting to be taken. Far away, Michael stared at his phone, furious and alone. The message he had planned to file made no sense now. The story he tried to write for Evelyn had fallen apart. That night, after the children slept, Evelyn stood by the small window, the envelope safe in a drawer. She touched her chest, feeling both lighter and afraid of what tomorrow might bring. Across the city, Henry placed the old silver watch beside the fresh registry papers. He brushed the face of the watch with his thumb, then looked toward the dark window, as if the city might answer him back. Safe, he whispered. They are safe. Morning sunlight filtered through thin curtains. Evelyn stirred at the sound of a gentle knock on the door. For a moment she thought she was dreaming. Then she heard it again, soft, polite, steady. She got up quickly, smoothing her wrapper, glancing toward the twins still curled under their blanket. When she opened the door, Henry stood there, smiling faintly. I hope I didn't wake you, he said. You sent me the address last night, remember? I wanted to check on you and the children. Evelyn blinked, still surprised to see him outside her small flat. You didn't have to come so early. I couldn't sleep, he admitted, stepping inside when she gestured. I wanted to be sure you were all right after everything. Sean ran from the small room, rubbing his eyes. Uncle Henry, he said brightly. You came. Henry knelt to his height. I promised, didn't I? He glanced at Nina, who hid behind her mother, peeking out with a shy smile. Evelyn's small sitting room was neat but modest. 2 chairs, a table with a vase of dried flowers, children's books on a stool. Henry noticed the care in every detail. He felt respect rise quietly inside him. I made tea, she said, lifting the kettle from the small stove. Would you like some? I'd love that, he said, taking the seat she offered. They sipped quietly. The twins played near the doorway, humming to themselves. I was thinking, Henry began. If it's all right, I'd like you and the kids to meet someone important to me today, my grandmother. She's warm and kind. She lives simply, not far from here. Evelyn looked uncertain. Wouldn't that be too soon? Not at all, Henry said gently. She likes meeting good people. Evelyn smiled a little. All right, the children will like that. Sean clapped softly. Are we going on a trip? Just a short one, Henry said with a grin. You'll see. By noon, they reached Mama Ruth's house, a beautiful cream bungalow with a flower bed of hibiscus in front. The smell of stew and freshly washed clothes filled the air. Mama Ruth opened the door before they could knock twice. Ah, my dear boy, she said, her voice rich with warmth. You brought guests. Henry smiled. Grandma, this is Evelyn and her children, Sean and Nina. My goodness, what beautiful little ones, Mama Ruth said, bending to their height. Come in, my loves. I just finished frying puff puff. You must taste and tell me if it's sweet enough. The children giggled as she ushered them in. The sitting room was cozy. Lace curtains, soft armchairs, old family pictures on the wall. A photo of young Henry stood near one of his parents, smiling before time took them. Evelyn felt instantly at ease. Your home is lovely, she said. It's old, but it holds peace, Mama Ruth replied. That's all I need. She turned to Henry. And this must be the lady who has made you smile again after all these years. Henry smiled but said nothing. He didn't want to lie, yet he couldn't explain the whole truth. Mama Ruth led Evelyn to the couch and patted her hand. "My child, you are welcome. Sit and rest. You have kind eyes." Evelyn's throat tightened. "Thank you, Ma." The twins laughed from the corner where Henry showed them a tiny puzzle Mama Ruth kept for visitors. Watching them, Evelyn's chest filled with quiet peace. The door suddenly opened sharply. "So this is where you're hiding," said a cold voice. Everyone turned. A young man in a sharp blue suit stood in the doorway. Kelvin, Henry's stepbrother. "Kelvin," Henry said quietly. Kelvin's eyes darted between Evelyn and the twins. "Wow. You didn't waste time, did you? A woman with 2 kids. You think Grandma will fall for this?" "Kelvin," Mama Ruth said warningly. He ignored her. "Does she even know who you are?" he sneered. "Or are you pretending again?" Evelyn frowned, confused. "What does he mean?" she asked softly. Henry placed a calm hand over hers. "He means nothing," he said gently. "My brother likes to talk nonsense when he's angry." Kelvin scoffed. "Of course. Make me the bad one." Mama Ruth stood up slowly, her presence filling the room. "Kelvin, that's enough. You will not come into my house and speak to your brother or his guests like that." "Grandma." "Leave," she said firmly. "Right now." Kelvin looked between them, jaw tight, then turned and left, the door banging behind him. The twins jumped a little at the sound. Evelyn instinctively pulled them close. Henry crouched beside them. "It's all right," he said softly. "He's gone." Mama Ruth exhaled deeply and shook her head. "That boy's mouth will one day get him into trouble." She turned to Evelyn and smiled again. "My dear, please ignore him. You are welcome here." Evelyn's eyes filled. "Thank you, Mama Ruth," she whispered. Sean tugged at Henry's sleeve. "Uncle Henry, can we come back again?" Henry smiled, emotion tight in his throat. "As often as you want." Mama Ruth clapped her hands lightly. "Good. Now we'll eat. I made yam porridge. You'll help me set the table." They worked together, laughter slowly replacing the earlier tension. Henry served the porridge. Evelyn folded napkins. The twins carried spoons like tiny waiters. As they ate, Mama Ruth told funny stories about Henry as a boy, how he once chased a goat that stole his biscuit and fell into a drum of water. The children laughed until they couldn't breathe. Evelyn caught herself smiling, really smiling. Henry's laughter was deep and kind, the kind that made the air lighter. After the meal, Evelyn helped wash the dishes. Henry dried them beside her. Their hands brushed once. Neither looked away too quickly. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" he asked. "For treating my children like they matter." Henry's voice softened. "They do. They matter a lot." When they stepped outside to leave, Mama Ruth stood at the porch waving. "Come again soon." "We will." Evelyn watched him, her heart warm and uncertain. He looked at the twins with a joy he didn't try to hide. And though she couldn't explain it, something about the moment felt right, as if they had all been waiting for this quiet happiness without knowing it. As they walked away, Henry's fingers brushed the pocket of his coat, where the old silver watch rested. He looked at the children beside him and the woman just ahead, the breeze lifting her hair, and his chest tightened. Could it be? He wondered silently. He didn't speak it aloud. He just smiled faintly. Henry stood at the gate long after Evelyn and the twins turned the corner. When he finally went back inside, Mama Ruth was waiting in the doorway, arms folded, a soft smile in her eyes. "She is a good woman," Mama Ruth said. "And those children, they brought light into this house today." Henry's voice came quietly. "Yes." Mama Ruth stepped closer and touched his shoulder. "I am proud of you, my son. You have been lonely for so long, carrying silence since your parents passed. It makes my heart glad to see you with people who make you smile again." He swallowed. "Thank you, Grandma." He did not tell her the marriage was only paper to protect Evelyn and the children. He did not tell her his heart still searched the city for the mystery woman from 5 years ago. He let Mama Ruth's blessing sit warm and steady on his chest and said nothing more. That evening, in her small apartment, Evelyn washed the children's hands and set dinner on the table. Sean chatted about the lemon tree. Nina hummed the little tune Mama Ruth had taught her. Evelyn caught herself smiling for no reason. Each time she remembered Henry tying Sean's lace, wiping Zobo from Nina's chin, listening with his whole face. Her heart softened. He is kind, she thought as she rinsed the plates. He is safe around them. He is safe around me. The thought scared her a little and felt like rest. Over the next few days, Henry kept his promise to move at her pace. He visited early sometimes with fresh bread, always knocking softly. He carried groceries without being asked. He fixed a loose hinge on the bedroom door and tightened a shake chair leg. On Sunday, he helped the twins build a small paper city on the floor, turning their drawings into tiny houses. They cooked together in the evenings, Evelyn at the stove, Henry at the sink, the twins washing 2 small spoons as if it were important work. They laughed over spilled salt and danced a little to a song from the radio while the stew simmered. Nothing grand, just gentle, ordinary moments that made the room glow. More than once, Henry caught himself watching Evelyn when she didn't see him. The way she leaned to listen to a child. The way she pressed her lips when she measured spices. The way she let silence be soft, not heavy. This woman is real, he thought. I feel it when I breathe. And yet the old watch in his pocket pulled at him like a thread to a different life. Desire for the woman in front of him. Duty to a promise he never got to keep. Both lived side by side inside him, restless. At Cole Enterprises, Evelyn kept to her desk and her work. She was careful and fast, her corrections neat, her models clean. Still, not everyone liked to see quiet work shine. One afternoon, Cece stopped by Evelyn's station with a too sweet smile. You're late with the render again, she said loudly. It's already uploaded, Evelyn replied, calm. Cece clicked her tongue. Assistant talk. You people always make small things look big. Mr. Chris, the design supervisor, appeared behind Cece and folded his arms. Cece is right. You need to know your place. You are lucky to be here at all. Several desks went quiet. Evelyn sat up straighter. Sir, I finished the deliverable by the deadline. If there's an issue, I can fix it. Mr. Chris leaned closer and dropped his voice so only nearby ears could hear. Do not act smart. Some of us know your story. Be grateful. Keep your head down. A hot shame climbed Evelyn's neck. She pressed her hands together under the desk and said nothing. On the executive floor, Henry had come in unannounced to review a site update. He paused at a glass corridor that overlooked part of the design floor. He saw the shape of a small circle around Evelyn's desk, the set of her shoulders, the tilt of Mr. Chris's head. He couldn't hear every word, but he knew the language of small humiliations. Austin, he said evenly, call HR, now. Within the hour, HR had pulled attendance logs, delivery timestamps, and complaint histories. Patterns formed quickly. This wasn't a single bad moment. It was a slow habit of pushing one woman down because her quiet work made others feel loud and empty. By late afternoon, a notice appeared on the company's public page. From the office of the group CEO, Cole Enterprises has zero tolerance for bullying, harassment, or intimidation in any unit. Effective immediately, the design supervisor, Mr. Chris, is relieved of his duties for misconduct and abuse of authority. All leaders are reminded that excellence includes how we treat one another. Violations will be met with firm action. Cece read it twice, color draining from her face. A second note followed to all staff. Reminder: performance feedback must be work-specific, documented, and respectful. Any retaliation will result in termination. On the floor, whispers rose like wind. Someone said Mr. Chris had already been asked to hand over his badge. Someone said the CEO had visited in person. Someone said the CEO had eyes everywhere. Evelyn stared at her screen. Her hands shook a little. She hadn't complained to anyone. She hadn't asked for help. Still, help had come. The tight band around her chest loosened. Kemi slid by and squeezed her shoulder. You're seen? She whispered. Evelyn blinked fast and nodded. Upstairs. Henry closed his laptop slowly. He did not go down to the floor. He did not call Evelyn to explain. He did not want to tie her dignity to his name. He wanted the company to be safe because it should be safe, for everyone. He stood alone by the window, the old watch warm in his palm. Through the glass, he could just make out the shape of a woman at a small desk, head bent, working with care. His heart moved toward her. His mind pulled back to a night that would not let him go. 2 truths, he thought. 1 choice, soon. He slipped the watch into his pocket and exhaled. That night, Henry arrived at the small apartment with oranges and a bag of rice. The twins ran to him, shouting his name. Evelyn opened the door wider and smiled, soft, surprised, grateful. They cooked, they ate, they laughed. Evelyn washed, Henry dried. The twins yawned with heavy eyes and fell asleep leaning on each other like 2 small birds on one branch. When the house grew quiet, Evelyn spoke first. "Someone posted from the CEO's office today," she said, eyes on the sleeping children. "They removed my supervisor. They warned everyone." Henry's voice was gentle. "How do you feel?" "Seen," she said. Then after a pause, "Safe." He nodded. "Good." She turned her head and met his eyes. "Thank you for everything you have done for me and the kids." He held her gaze. "You and the children deserve peace." Something warm passed between them, simple and honest. Henry felt it settle in his bones. Evelyn felt it bloom in her chest. Neither of them moved closer. Neither of them stepped away. Outside, the night held its breath, as if it too wanted this moment to last. Morning came with a ripple of excitement across Cole Enterprises. A bright banner went up on the company page and whispers spread like wind. Flagship announcement, Riverside Gardens, a new community project. Winning team bonus, 10 million. Open submissions. Kemi rushed to Evelyn's desk, eyes shining. "Evie, this is it. You must enter. Your designs need to be seen by everyone." Evelyn's heart beat faster. She thought how far the price money could go in solving her problems. She thought of rent, school fees, and the twins' small wishes. She thought of the courtyard she kept sketching, water, trees, light. She nodded slowly. "I'll try." That evening, at home, she told Henry. "You should do it," he said, voice warm and steady. "Your work has soul. People feel it." Evelyn smiled, shy and bright. "All right, I'll submit." Sean climbed into Henry's lap. "Will Mommy win?" Henry kissed Sean's hair. "She already wins when she draws with love. The rest will follow." Evelyn poured herself into the concept. Days of quiet research at lunch, late-night sketches after the twins slept. She named the proposal Utopia because it held the things she wanted most: safety, light, simple beauty. On submission day, she saved the file, backed it up, and went to refill her water. When she returned, her screen showed an empty folder. Her heart dropped. She clicked again, fingers cold. Utopia was gone. Cece stood 2 desks away, pretending to scroll her phone. Mr. Chris was no longer there to hover, but his shadow felt long. Evelyn swallowed panic, searched the recycle bin, nothing. For a full minute her hands shook. Then she breathed in and made a choice. Start again, make it better. She opened a new file. Night fell. The office emptied. Evelyn stayed. At home, Henry tucked the twins into bed, then checked his phone. No message from Evelyn yet. He washed 2 cups and set rice to steam, pacing between the window and the door. He wanted to go to her, but he had promised to move at her pace. At midnight, her message finally came. "Still working? Don't worry." He typed back. "Proud of you. I'm awake if you need anything." Evelyn stared at those words for a long second. Then she returned to the screen. She rebuilt Utopia with clearer lines and braver space, a ring of low homes facing a shared garden, a shallow stream children could touch, benches that held afternoon stories, paths that made every person feel welcome. By dawn, the new version glowed with calm. She submitted 1 minute before the deadline, then closed her eyes at her desk, and finally slept. 2 days later, the design review room was full. Senior managers sat with straight backs. Younger staff stood along the walls. A hush fell as Utopia came up on the screen. A murmur went through the room. Soft, surprised, then warm. "It feels human," someone whispered. It's beautiful, said another, simple, whole. When the shortlist was announced, Utopia topped the list. Kemi squeezed Evelyn hard. You did it! Evelyn's eyes went wet. She covered her mouth, then laughed through tears. She thought of two small faces and a quiet courtyard that now felt real. That night at home, Henry lifted her into the smallest, gentlest hug and set her down as if she were made of light. I knew it, he said, eyes bright. You built a place people can breathe. She smiled big and tired. I almost lost it. What happened? File vanished. I don't know how. I rebuilt it from scratch. Henry's jaw shifted, but he kept his voice even. Then the world got the better version. The twins clapped like they had been waiting all day to do it. They danced in a circle around their mother, and Henry joined, making the room glow. The next morning, an internal memo went out. Cece, design associate, suspended pending review for harassment and interference with colleague submissions. HR office of the CEO. Evelyn read it twice. Her hands stilled. She hadn't named anyone. She hadn't accused. But someone, somewhere, had seen the truth and acted. Cece did not show up that day. Kemi whispered, "Whoever is upstairs is not playing this year." Evelyn said nothing, but a quiet thank you rose inside her. A week later, trouble struck. A rival firm posted a glossy teaser for a garden community. The image looked painfully familiar. Evelyn's ring of homes, her shallow stream, her shared benches. Lines changed, labels renamed, but the shape was hers. By noon, the whispers turned sharp. Isn't that our concept? Who sent it out? Did Evelyn sell it? At 2, a formal notice hit Evelyn's inbox. Suspension pending investigation. Evelyn read it standing up. For a long second, she could not breathe. The room swayed, then steadied. She packed her bag with shaking hands. Kemi reached for her. Evie, I know you didn't. I know, Evelyn said, voice thin but clear. It will pass. She walked out with her head high, but her chest felt like glass. Upstairs, Henry saw the rival's post and went very still. He called Austin in. Pull logs, Henry said. Server access, print histories, email attachments, external drives, everything since the competition opened. Quietly, no stone left unturned. Austin nodded. And Evelyn? Henry's jaw set. Suspend the noise, not the person. She stays off the floor for now, but she won't be treated like a criminal. Make sure HR's language is neutral and respectful. Yes, sir. Henry stared out at the city with the old silver watch in his hand. He wanted to go down there, to stand beside Evelyn and say, I believe you. But he had built walls around his identity for a reason. If he broke them now, the story would become about him, not the truth. Find who did this, he said softly, and protect her name. Austin paused at the door. We will. That night, Henry knocked gently on Evelyn's door. She opened it with swollen eyes and a steady chin. They suspended me, she said, trying to smile. It's procedure. He didn't pretend it didn't hurt. He only said, I brought soup. She stepped aside. The twins came running, holding out picture books for comfort. Henry set the soup on the table, then sat with them on the floor, reading in a slow, calm voice until their breathing softened. Later, when the children slept, he washed the soup bowls and left them upside down to dry. Evelyn watched him from the table where Utopia lay sketched in pencil lines and dreams. Henry met her eyes. I believe you. The words were soft, but they landed like a strong roof over a shaking house. Evelyn dropped her gaze, tears brightening again. Thank you, she whispered. He wanted to take her hand. He didn't. He only sat nearby, close enough for her to feel that she was not alone. Outside, the night was deep and kind. Inside, a work of love was under attack, but the woman who made it was not. And somewhere in a server's quiet records, the truth waited to be found. The week moved in slow steps. Henry kept the investigation quiet but wide. Server logs, printer queues, USB histories, camera entries, every path that might show how Utopia left the building. He also kept showing up at the small apartment with small kindness, fruit in the morning, soup at night, a silly joke to make the twins laugh. One evening, he brought fried plantain and a tiny bag of puff-puff from Mama Ruth. The twins cheered. Evelyn smiled, tired but soft. "Should I make a quick stew?" she asked, already reaching for a tin of fish. Henry lifted a hand. "Wait, I'm allergic to fish." Sean's head popped up. "Me too," he said. "Remember, Mummy? My tongue got itchy." Nina nodded, serious. "Mine too, it tingles." Henry went still for a breath he didn't show. "Then let's do egg," he said lightly. "Easy and safe." They cooked, they ate, they laughed at a lopsided omelette that looked like a cloud. When the twins ran off to brush their teeth, Evelyn shook her head with a small smile. "These children and fish," she said. "I try to give them, they suffer." Henry smiled back, but something inside him moved. An old memory of hives after fish stew when he was 8. Mama Ruth's firm rule. No fish for this one. He pushed the thought down. Allergies were common. Coincidences happened. Days later, another small sign. Sean hated loud fireworks and always covered one ear first, the left, just like Henry did. Nina hummed the same simple tune Henry hummed when he was thinking, without ever hearing it from him. Small things, ordinary things. Still, the feeling grew. Not proof, not yet, but a thread pulling tight. He said nothing to Evelyn. He would not disturb her with questions while a storm gathered around her name. On Wednesday, the design floor changed temperature. Cece walked in, chin high, nails bright, whispering to anyone who would listen. "Suspension is over," she said to a cluster by the printer. "The CEO knows talent when he sees it." "Is it true he called you?" someone asked, eyes wide. Cece smirked. "Let's just say Mr. Cole understands value. Some of you should be careful whose side you pick." The rumor spread fast. Cece is protected by the mysterious CEO. Heads turned. People frowned. Evelyn, still on suspension, didn't see the show, but others did, and Henry heard. Upstairs, Austin arrived with fresh logs, a neat summary. Unusual activity on Cece's workstation near the submission deadline. Disappearing file events matching Utopia's name and size. A late-night print to a private device. A cloud share to an unknown external account traced to a rival firm's contractor. Henry read it once, then again, his face a steady line. "Prepare HR," he said, "and legal." By noon, a message appeared on the company's public page. From the office of the group CEO, following an internal investigation, Cece, design associate, is terminated for theft of intellectual property, harassment, and interference with colleague submissions. Evidence has been handed to law enforcement. Cole Enterprises does not tolerate bullying or theft. We protect our people and our work. Gasps rippled across the floor. 2 security guards approached Cece's desk. She tried to stand taller. "You can't do this," she snapped. "Mr. Cole knows me." "Ma'am," one guard said quietly, "please come with us." They walked her out while phones buzzed and eyes followed. In the lobby, an officer waited to take her statement. Papers were signed. Cece was led away, jaw tight, gaze hot with blame. By evening, Cece was out again. She stepped into a dark car that smelled of cold air and expensive cologne. Kelvin sat inside, tapping a ring against the door. "You were careless," he said flatly. Cece shot him a look. "You promised protection. I did exactly what you wanted. Push Evelyn out, ruin her design, make Henry look weak." Kelvin's smile was small and sharp. "And you got caught." She folded her arms. "You said you had the police in your pocket." "I have someone, not everyone," he said, bored. "Bail is a bandage, not a cure. Next time, use clean hands." She turned to face him fully. "I did this for both of us." "For yourself," Kelvin corrected, amused. "Let's not lie to each other. You want Evelyn gone because she stands where you want to stand. You want Henry's eyes. I want his chair." Cece's mouth curled. "Then we still want the same thing." Kelvin nodded once. "Good. Because this was only a first fire. We will make the next one hotter and harder to see." He reached into the console and pulled out a phone with a blank case. "Use this. No more company devices. No more bragging at work. You insulted your own intelligence today." Cece took the phone, cheeks burning. "Don't talk to me like I'm stupid." Kelvin's tone stayed smooth. "Then don't act like it." The car rolled forward. Streetlights drew long lines on the ceiling. Outside, the city looked harmless and bright. Inside, a quiet plan formed in two minds that had decided to feed each other's hunger. Henry learned of the bail by dusk. He stood at his office window with the old watch in his palm, city lights blinking like far stars, and felt anger he rarely let himself feel. Austin. Yes, sir. Double security on all project files, fresh passwords, new rules for personal devices. Already drafted. And send a note to HR. We support Evelyn's appeal. The suspension stays only while we finish the formal report. Make sure her record shows no admission of guilt. Language matters. Done. Henry breathed out slowly. His reflection looked back at him, steady, tired, holding a watch that had waited 5 years for answers. A small knock sounded at the door. Austin stepped back in, hesitant. Sir, there's one more thing. Someone at the front desk saw Cece leave with Kelvin. He watched Henry's face carefully. It seems they know each other well. Henry's jaw set. Of course they do. What do you want to do? Exactly what we planned, Henry said. Finish the report, clear Evelyn's name, then we deal with whatever comes next. And Mr. Kelvin? Henry's eyes cooled. Family or not, the company comes first. If he moves against the work, we move against him. Austin nodded and left. Henry stood alone with the watch, thinking of fish allergies and a boy covering his left ear, a girl humming a tune he'd carried since childhood. He pressed his thumb to the tiny scratch on the glass. If I'm right. The thought was too big to finish. Not yet. He tucked the watch away and reached for his phone. At home, Evelyn folded tiny shirts on the bed while the twins built a tower of books. The door knocked softly. She opened it to Henry. No suit, no tie, only quiet eyes and a paper bag with fruit. Can I come in? He asked. She nodded. Always. They sat at the table. He poured juice. She told him about a story Nina wanted to write about a magic lemon tree. They laughed when Sean announced his tower was the tallest in the world and then knocked it over with dramatic joy. Only after the children fell asleep did Henry speak of work, careful and simple. I heard the company finished the first part of the investigation, he said. It looks like someone took your design. They are gone now. Evelyn watched his face. You believe me? I do. Did you help me talk to someone to fix it? He shook his head once. The company fixed what was wrong. That is how it should be. She sat with that for a long breath. Thank you for believing in me. He didn't reach for her hand. He wanted to. He didn't. He only stayed a few minutes more, then stood. Rest, he said softly. Tomorrow will be kinder. At the door, she stopped him. Henry? He turned. If the world gets loud again, she said, voice low, come for dinner. We'll make egg and plantain. No fish. A smile spread without asking. Deal. He left with the old watch in his pocket and the sound of a woman's soft promise in his head. Somewhere across town, in a quiet room with expensive shadows, Kelvin spread papers across a table. Org charts, board votes, upcoming bids. Cece sat opposite with a hard, eager smile. Destroy her work, Kelvin murmured, tapping a pen on a date. Shake his trust, then we move. Cece held the burner phone like a small weapon. And when the dust rises? Kelvin's eyes gleamed. We take what we came for. At the office the next morning, Evelyn received a call directly from HR. Miss Evelyn, the voice said, steady and kind. The investigation is complete. Your name is cleared. You may return to work today. Your record shows no fault. Evelyn closed her eyes for a second. Thank you. When she stepped onto the design floor, people looked up. Kemi rushed across the aisle and hugged her. I knew it, she said, eyes bright. I knew you didn't do it. Evelyn smiled, small and grateful. Thank you for believing me. Work felt lighter. She opened Utopia and made tiny fixes with calm hands. At lunch, Kemi slid a snack onto her desk and grinned. Celebrate, even if it's small. That evening at home, Henry brought oranges and bread. They cooked together, shoulder to shoulder. Sean and Nina told him a wild story about a lemon tree that grew candy. They all laughed until their sides hurt. Later, when the twins were asleep, Evelyn and Henry stood by the window. The room was quiet. The air felt full. His hand brushed her hand. Neither moved away. Her heart climbed into her throat. He leaned in a little, eyes soft, breath warm. For a heartbeat, the world waited. Then Henry pulled back, a careful inch, pain and longing in his face. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I need to tie some loose ends first." Evelyn searched his eyes. She saw the truth there. He cared for her, but something held him. She nodded, though it hurt. "Okay." They said goodnight with a look that carried too many words. The next day, while the twins colored on the floor, Evelyn gathered laundry. Henry had left a small bag of clothes after helping fix a leaking tap. She added his shirts to the pile and checked the pockets by habit. Her fingers touched metal. She drew out a small silver watch, worn strap, tiny scratch near the glass. The room tilted. Her lungs forgot how to work. The watch lay in her palm like a voice from a locked room. My watch. 5 years folded into one moment. The hotel room, the soft light, her shaking hands, the way she left in a rush, too ashamed to look back. Evelyn stood very still. Then she wiped her eyes, breathed once, and went to find Henry. He was in the kitchen drying 2 cups. He turned when he heard her. "Evelyn?" She held up the watch. "Where did you get this?" He froze. The cup in his hand went still. His eyes fell to the watch, then rose to her face. Color drained, then returned. The room went quiet enough to hear the clock in the hall. He took one slow step forward. "I have kept it for 5 years, he said, voice low. "It was the only thing I had from that night." Their eyes locked. Realization swept over them like a wave, warm, terrifying, inevitable. Evelyn's breath broke. Tears filled fast. "It was you," she whispered. "It was you." Henry's face crumpled, relief and shock fighting for space. He set the cup aside with shaking hands. "It was you. All this time." He breathed. "You saved me that night. You stayed when I was not myself. You gave me children, and you carried the weight alone. Evelyn." His voice cracked. "Thank you. Thank you for your strength. Thank you for your silence. Thank you for everything you endured." Evelyn pressed a fist to her mouth. She didn't know whether to cry or laugh or fall into his arms. Her heart raced like a bird. "I didn't know how to find you," she said, tears spilling. "I left in a hurry. I was scared. I kept the memory in a box and locked it." Henry's eyes shone. "Now I understand why I felt at home around you," he said softly. "Why the children felt like a song I already knew." He reached up, gentle as breath, and cupped her face in both hands, thumbs warm on her cheeks, hands steady now. "Evelyn," he whispered, as if saying her name for the first time. "I'm here." She leaned into his touch. The nearness broke whatever thin wall was left between them. Henry bent and kissed her. It was not rushed. It was not loud. It was a kiss held back for too long, full of longing, apology, gratitude, and the sweet shock of being found. She answered him with the same fullness, tears on her lashes, fingers curling into his shirt like a promise. When they parted, foreheads touching, both of them were breathing hard and laughing a little through tears. "Hi," she said, voice shaking. "Hi," he answered, smiling like a man who had just found home. From the doorway, 2 small faces peeked in, Sean and Nina, wide-eyed and glowing. "Mommy, Daddy," Nina said softly, as if testing a dream. Henry looked over, eyes wet. "Yes," he said, voice full. "Daddy?" Sean grinned, fierce and bright. "I knew it." They ran into his arms and he gathered them close, burying his face in their hair, whispering something only love could hear. Evelyn watched them. This man. These children. This moment that healed 5 years, and felt her heart settle finally into a safe place. Outside, evening light leaned through the window. Inside, 4 people stood in a small kitchen, holding the pieces of a story that had just found its way back to itself. Morning sunlight found them still smiling over small things. Henry walked to Mama Ruth's house with a light in his step he had not felt in years. Mama Ruth opened before he knocked. "My son," she said, searching his face. "You look brand new." Henry took her hands. "Grandma," it was her. The woman from 5 years ago, Evelyn. For a heartbeat she stared, then covered her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. "I knew it," she breathed. "I knew I felt a pull to those children, my great-grandbabies." She laughed and cried at once, shaking her head. "God is kind." He held her a long moment. When they sat, the joy dimmed with a shadow he could not ignore. "I haven't told her everything." he said softly. About who I am. I kept it simple to protect her, but she suffered alone. And I want the world to know she is mine and I am hers. Mama Ruth cupped his cheek. Then speak. Truth is the only road love can walk for long. He nodded. Tonight. That afternoon, Evelyn received a polite text from an unknown number. Hello, Evelyn. I'm Kelvin, Henry's brother. Could we meet for coffee? I have something important to share about your future. She hesitated, then agreed. A brother was still family, and she wanted peace. The cafe was quiet and expensive. Kelvin stood when she arrived, a smile that never reached his eyes. Evelyn, he said warmly, you deserve clarity. Henry has secrets. He married you to get family shares. He leaned in. That is the secret I hinted at the other day. He isn't a simple man. He is Henry Cole. Her breath stuttered. What? The CEO, Kelvin said, sipping calmly. Your driver. He lied. For months. Ask yourself why. The room tilted. The old watch. The gentle man. The company notices. The way help arrived without noise. Evelyn stood, chair scraping the floor. Thank you for your time, she said, voice small and steady. She left before he could add poison to the wound. Outside, the evening air was sharp. One truth burned through her chest. Henry had hidden who he was. At home, she packed 2 small bags. Sean watched, confused. Nina held her hand. Mommy? Sean whispered. Are we leaving? For a little while, she said, trying not to cry. We need to breathe. Henry, meanwhile, had been setting the stage for a different night. A small ballroom, a simple string trio, a bouquet of lemon-yellow flowers for Evelyn. He planned to stand before her, confess everything, his name, his fear, his love, and ask her to marry him again, this time with truth. On the way there, a dark car cut across his lane near the hotel's side entrance. Tires screamed. Metal kissed metal. The world jolted. Pain tore through his leg. The other car sped off. Austin, in the car behind, ran to him. Sir. Henry gritted his teeth. Call the hotel clinic. Quietly. He could not know that down the block, Cece and Kelvin sat in another car, watching smoke thin into the night. Not fatal, Kelvin murmured, but enough to ruin his perfect timing. Cece's smile was thin. Then we moved to phase 2. Evelyn arrived with the twins to return the spare key Henry had given her. One clean act before she left. She saw the crowd at the side entrance, the dented fender, the man on the steps holding his leg, pale but upright. Henry! She cried, running. He looked up, pain and relief warring in his eyes. I'm okay, he said through a breath. It's minor. Sean gripped his sleeve. Does it hurt? A little, Henry said, managing a smile. But seeing you helps. They got him to the clinic. The doctor said it was a deep bruise, no break. Evelyn sat beside him, holding ice in a towel against his shin, watching the rise and fall of his chest. He turned to her. I was on my way to tell you everything, he said. All of it. I should have told you the first week we met. Tears stung her eyes. You should have. I'm sorry, he whispered. I was afraid the truth would chase you away before love had a chance to root. She swallowed hard. I don't want a life built on half-truths. She stood. I need space. I'm taking the twins for a while. Evelyn. I'm not punishing you, she said softly. I'm protecting myself. She left the key on the tray and guided the twins to the door. They looked back, torn. Henry lifted a hand, a promise in his eye. He let them go. 2 days of silence. Then the twins did something brave. They had seen Cece near the hotel that night. They had seen Kelvin too, weeks earlier, arguing in a parking bay with Cece about designs and accidents and money. Sean liked gadgets. Nina liked stories. Together they knew how to hide a phone on record and how to wait. That afternoon, while visiting Mama Ruth, they tugged Austin's sleeve in the hallway of the house. Uncle Austin, Sean whispered, we have a video. Austin crouched. What video? Nina held out a phone. On the screen, Cece and Kelvin argued in a quiet lot. Stolen designs. You promised me a seat when he falls. Pay the boys at the gate. Scare him, not kill him. Embezzlement covered. Once he signs off. Every word was clear. Austin's face hardened. Good work, he said softly, both to the children and to fate. He sent the file to legal and to a police liaison they trusted. By evening, warrants were signed. Police arrested Cece and Kelvin for fraud, extortion, corporate sabotage, and conspiracy. The burner phones became maps. The money trails became a story with names and dates. There was no neat way to wriggle free. Mama Ruth stood in the doorway as officers led Kelvin away. Hurt and steel shared her face. "Grandma," he began. She raised a hand. "No, not today. You are barred from my house and from our family business. You will answer for what you have done." Her voice did not shake. He lowered his head and was taken. The next morning, the company page carried Henry's words plain in public. Statement from the group CEO, Henry Cole. "Recent events revealed theft of designs, targeted harassment, and attempts to harm our people and our work. Those responsible have been removed and are in police custody. Evelyn Williams is fully cleared. Riverside Gardens moves forward under lead designer Evelyn and her team. Effective immediately, anti-bullying protocols, new data security, and direct reporting lines to HR for anyone who feels unsafe. Cole Enterprises stands for honest work and human dignity. We will protect both." Messages flooded in: relief, apologies, congratulations. Kemi printed the notice and taped it to Evelyn's screen with a tiny, proud heart. Evelyn read the statement at her small desk at home, the twins playing with blocks at her feet. Tears fell and kept falling. It wasn't about the title. It was about being seen in the wide light, at last. That evening, Mama Ruth knocked and let herself in with soft steps. She sat beside Evelyn on the couch. "My daughter," she said, taking her hand. "Truth has a way of bringing us all home, even if we take the long road. Henry was wrong to hide. He knows. He is ready to stand in the open." Evelyn looked at her lap. "I loved the simple life we made. Now I don't know which part was simple and which part was a story." Mama Ruth smiled sadly. "The love was simple. The fear was the story." Evelyn's chest shook. Mama Ruth pulled her into an embrace and held her through the quiet. Across town, Henry stood at his window, no watch in his palm now, just open hands. The world knew his name. He wanted Evelyn to know his heart the same way, without walls. He turned from the glass and picked up a small ring box he'd left on the table, still unopened from the ruined night. He did not know when he would be allowed to offer it. He only knew he would not lie again. The following day, Henry went to Evelyn's apartment in plain clothes. No driver, no guards, no car. He carried only a small ring box and the old, careful hope in his chest. She opened the door. For a heartbeat, they just looked at each other. "I came to tell you everything," he said. She stepped aside. He entered and stood in the small sitting room where the twins' crayons were spread on the table. He spoke slowly, honestly. "The night we met at the hotel," he began, "I was not myself. You saved me from a bad place. You stayed. In the morning you were gone, and the only thing left was your watch. I searched for you for years. I kept that watch to remind me I wasn't dreaming." He drew a breath. "When I found you again, I was afraid. I didn't know it was you, and I thought if I told you I was Henry Cole, the billionaire CEO, you would see money before you saw me. So I hid. It was wrong. I am sorry." Silence settled. His eyes did not leave hers. "Evelyn," he said, voice low, "I love you. Not the picture of you. You. The way you work. The way you protect the children. The way you laugh when you think no one hears. I am done hiding. If you never forgive me, I will still be grateful for every day I got to know you." Her face trembled. She tried to speak, then covered her mouth with her hand. His words had broken the last hard shell around her heart. "I forgive you," she whispered at last. "I forgive you." He exhaled, almost folded in relief. Sean and Nina, who had been peeking from the hallway, ran out and threw their arms around his waist. "Daddy!" they shouted together. Henry went to his knees and held them both, eyes shining. "Daddy," he said back, like a prayer answered. Evelyn watched them, tears warm on her face. The room was small. The moment was large. It filled every corner. 2 days later, Evelyn walked to the market and ran into Michael outside a small shop. He looked thinner, tired around the eyes. "Evelyn," he said, stopping short. "I'm sorry. Business has been bad. I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated the children the way I did. She raised a gentle hand. Michael, it's all right. You are not worth my anger. I'm not angry. I'm done. He nodded, defeated but oddly lighter. I hope you're happy. I am, she said simply. They parted, and that chapter shut softly behind her. Mama Ruth insisted on a wedding with music and food and laughter. Not because of money, she said, but because joy deserves a big table. The day came warm and clear. The ceremony was simple and bright, only family, close friends, and a few quiet colleagues. When it was time to walk, Sean took his mother's left hand, and Nina took her right. They carried her down the aisle together, small feet sure on the path. Henry could not stop smiling. Vows were plain and honest. No rush, no secrets. Rings slid into place with hands that had learned to hold carefully. Mrs. Evelyn Cole, the officiant said at the end. The twins cheered first. Everyone else followed. At Cole Enterprises the next week, a short message appeared on the company page. Please congratulate Mrs. Evelyn Cole, lead designer, Riverside Gardens. We are grateful for her courage, her work, and the light she brings to our team. Kemi ran to Evelyn's desk, hugged her hard, and whispered, God is good. Evelyn's eyes lit with quiet thanks. Life had been heavy since she lost her parents years ago. Today, everything felt in place, like all the roads that hurt had finally led somewhere safe. That evening, Henry took her hand and placed a small box in her palm. She opened it. Inside lay a watch, same design as the one she left behind, but now finely made. The tiny scratch kept in the pattern like a memory, the bezel set with small diamonds that caught the light like morning water. He fastened it on her wrist. This time, he said, eyes soft and steady, I'm not losing you. She leaned into him. And I'm not running. They kissed, simple and sure.